Hi, this is Kasian, and it's time for a weekly conference call at VectorspaceAI. We'll start with what's happening around the world. As the Delta variant surges, outbreaks return in many parts of the world. There's been a landmark CRISPR trial that shows promise against deadly disease. Administering gene editing treatment directly into the body could be a safe and effective way to treat a rare, life-threatening condition. The study is the first to show that the technique can be safe and effective if the CRISPR-Cas9 components, in this case targeting a protein that is mainly in the liver, are infused into the bloodstream. In the trial, 6 people with a rare and fatal condition called transthyretin amyloidosis received a single treatment with the gene editing therapy. All experienced a drop in the level of a misshapen protein associated with the disease. Those who received the dose received 2 doses and saw tested levels of the protein called TTR decline by an average of 87%. On the industry side, GitHub, owned by Microsoft, and OpenAI, makers of GPT-3, one of the most advanced language models in existence, launched a new AI tool that generates its own code. And that's in the context of natural language generation, or NLG. Cathie Wood's ARK Investment is establishing a BTC ETF. SOCOM, Special Operations Command, is to test an anti-aging pill next year. Metro Biotech did not respond to a request for comment. This is the company that's working with SOCOM. However, its website explains that the firm has developed a number of proprietary precursor components or compounds for nicotinamide adenine deonucleotide, NAD+, which is critically important for the function of all living cells. The website explains that reduced levels of NAD+ are linked to aging and numerous diseases, including mitochondrial dysfunction, inflammation, and a variety of associated diseases. These levels decline as humans age and remain depleted during diseases and disease states. Preclinical evidence suggests disease and age-related functions decline can be mitigated by boosting NAD+, which supports the Metro International Biotech hypothesis that maintains optimal NAD+ levels may allow humans to lead longer and healthier lives. That's lifespan and health span. Astra IPO'd today. This is a space transportation company. And on a related note, Virgin Galactic is set to launch Richard Branson on July 11th, aiming to beat Jeff Bezos to space. And speaking of Jeff Bezos, an 82-year-old woman trained to be an astronaut 60 years ago. Now she's going to space with Jeff Bezos on July 20th. And again, on a related note, astronauts successfully edit genes in space for the first time in an experimental procedure involving CRISPR. And of course, this leads to a number of themes and events. So under our themes and events section, Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's researchers are questioning the prevailing theory behind Alzheimer's after a new discovery. You can read more about that. It's posted on our channels. A thematic basket could be generated based on some of the compounds and proteins mentioned in the article. And still under themes and events, Jennifer Doudna's first East Bay CRISPR spinout files for IPO. With its CRISPR genome editing promise in front of it, the Nobel Prize-winning UC Berkeley science behind it, a Berkeley biotech company filed Thursday for an initial public offering to raise $100 million. Thursday as in today. And then, of course, under themes and events, space. There are space ETFs popping up all over the place. You will hear space talked about in financial journals, on the financial news networks, globally. based on what's happening and based on the trillions in terms of its total addressable market. Next, we've got engineering, product, QA, and ops. Our S&P data integration is 95% complete, maybe a little more. The reason we say a little more would be because we only have OHLC data to integrate, and that really just takes about a day at this point. We're allocating time for that. So in terms of the S&P data integration, they've provided us with 23,000 very rich, long descriptions of public companies. These relate to stocks, and then we'll be working with CoinGecko and a few other providers related to bringing in crypto descriptions. And what we do, we model language. We operate in the NLP and NLU space, which means that we will be combining these data sources for stocks from S&P and cryptos. And then that way we'll be able to generate updated near real-time correlation matrix data sets where you may have stocks for the rows and cryptos for the columns. And you'll be able to see which stocks correlate to which cryptos or which cryptos correlate to which stocks. That'll be a data set that we'll want to be showcasing with S&P and a few others, including Morningstar. We have also rolled out our summarizer, and the summarizer is currently available at vectorspaceai/Cymetica/dataset, and Cymetica is spelled Cymetica. And you'll see a small representation of what the summarizer can do as it summarizes those rich long company descriptions that S&P has provided to us in just a couple of sentences. The descriptions they provided are sometimes a few pages long. They're the best descriptions we've ever seen for public companies, and this is what we anticipated. And this means detecting hidden relationships between public companies will be even stronger than before. This also means our thematic baskets will be more powerful. And that URL that I described earlier contains the thematic basket generator. If you'd like to access the URL or get more advice on generating thematic baskets, you can join our thematic basket channel. That's VXV-thematic baskets-tier 1. And of course, the 10 plus hedge funds and asset management companies that we've been talking with in the past. They're continuing to evaluate and duplicate, attempting to duplicate. The reason we say that is we've experienced this in the past, and it takes them a little while to cut their teeth to determine that what we do is very difficult to duplicate. So we're giving them more time. But their time is going to run out as S&P and Morningstar present our data sets to the world. And that would provide access to not just 10 funds, but thousands. This also connects to our retail strategy. We are determining best foot forward in terms of how to introduce the world to thematic baskets and the world of individual investors, the world of retail investors, based on a consumer approach or offering, which would include user experience and load testing, scaling to support thousands of users every second. This is not our first rodeo. We know how to do this and execute on this just fine, but it does take some planning. But we do want to execute this before the end of the year, and hopefully much sooner than that. And that, of course, would be initially providing the ability for an individual investor to generate a thematic basket related to a global event where they choose a data set, and that would be transparent to them. They don't have to fool around with the data set or configure it or even know that it exists, in fact. They'd be extracting a signal or a basket, a thematic basket of stocks or cryptos related to, or both, related to a global event where they'd be able to short or go long, or both, hedge. And of course, part of our retail strategy includes reserving cream of the crop thematic baskets for our own internal investment club. So a balance needs to be created that we're assessing right now between what we offer the public and retail and individual investors versus what we provide our internal investment club with. And we're still under engineering, product QA, and ops. We have got new hires that we are looking to hire in visualization and extended reality, that's XR. And of course, you can visit our careers page anytime to get details on new hires related to space biosciences and bioinformatics, computational biology. Under customers, partners, and collaborators, we have a few security firms we're working with. Minos is one of them, and we'll provide more detail on them in the future. We also have a long-standing partnership with a company called Algorithmia, and we'll provide updates on our progress with them and what we'll be talking about to the public, what they'll be talking about to the public related to our summarizer offering that we offer on their platform. And then, of course, Morningstar. We already talked a bit about S&P, so we'll talk a little bit more here about Morningstar and the fact that on Wednesday, July 7th, we've got a meeting with them where they'll be demoing a few product offerings to us, and we'll be demoing how our data sets can be integrated into those product offerings for them. And as mentioned in the past, we have also a long-standing relationship with Morningstar. Morningstar purchased a company that Mike Muldoon and I first met at a while ago when we were refactoring some of their TCL code based on Monte Carlo simulations that would predict nest eggs based on 401ks and SDBA, self-directed brokerage accounts. So Morningstar has an excellent relationship with ourselves, and they also are a rating agency. Just in case anyone in the crypto space does not know, similar to S&P, Morningstar does provide ratings for public companies. In fact, they just upgraded Tesla to a buy. And we are still under customers, partners, and collaborators, and that would include our academic collaborators. Academic collaborators, as many of you know, have been CERN and still remain CERN, where we are establishing the ability to detect hidden relationships between particles based on the scientific literature. These scientific literature bodies related to theoretical particle physics and such. We are also establishing an academic collaboration with UCL, that's University College London, on several different levels. On an agricultural level, also on a bioinformatics level, as they have bioinformatics resources that we'll need access to in terms of personnel, in addition to establishing a space biosciences curriculum. And Azure Space. We are continuing to talk with them in terms of rolling out millions of data sets related to space biosciences. Also related to materials, nanomedicine, and nanotechnology related to space. On the corp dev, biz dev, sales and marketing side, everything's in process. On the exchanges side, steady as she goes. And on the IR, PR, and Marcom side, you can look for a few exciting announcements from outside third-party partners of ours, in addition to internal scientific advisory board announcements related to our growth in that area. Next, we'll move to questions from the trader base. We've got 14 questions, so we'll see how we can run through these pretty efficiently here. Question 1. I would like to know if you are going to work with banks, or if it's already working, or if you're already working with them, and if work is limited to CBDCs. Datasets for CBDCs seem cool and would drive a lot of revenue. The banking system operates at a glacial speed, as many of you have noticed. and it is not the quickest path to consequential revenue for us. And crypto is not a currency. Question 2. How much progress has VectorSpaceAI made with ESA, JAXA, and Blue Origin? So these are space agencies, and we have made tons of progress. And that meant planning, that meant talking with Azure Space, and this also means internal planning and related to our collaborations with CERN and UCL at this point, and related to new hires that we have to have in place. Some of these new hires will be positioned on site at ESA, JAXA, and Blue Origin, in addition to Virgin Galactic and SpaceX and NASA Space Biosciences. It's very important for us to have on-site FTEs, full-time employees there, to provide as much guidance as possible now that we're in a post-pandemic phase. Question 3. What do you think of technical analysis, Fibonacci sequences, cycles, etc.? These are commonly used by many traders, but are they worth looking at? So we have pretty good experience in this area with TA, as they call it, and you kind of have to separate your technical analysis indicators first off into trailing indicators and then leading indicators. That's one of the most important things to do. And then to understand that Fibonacci sequences 0.618, 0.384, retraces, and so forth, those can be self-fulfilling prophecies, which essentially means that if someone's expecting something to retrace by a certain amount, or if the masses of traders are expecting something to retrace by a certain amount, it probably will retrace to around that amount. But one of the most important aspects of technical analysis that we've found during upturns, downturns, extended downturns in the market, and in particular extended downturns in the market, is that you'll find groups like Goldman and Morgan Stanley, they'll begin to reduce their staff up by 80 to 90% during extended downturns. Reduce their TA staff, their technical analysis staff. Why would they do that? Well, it's a common knowledge that technical analysis usually fails in a down market. And in an up market, most people can make money with technical analysis. One of our favorite indicators is the MACD, Moving Average Convergence Divergence, the 10-day MACD. That'll tell you how much buy pressure or sell pressure is on a particular trading vehicle. Question 4. I have been following the XRP versus SEC case pretty closely. What does the Vectorspace team think about what regulatory pressures may face Vectorspace, considering that, number 1, its token is tightly knitted into the structure of its operating model, and 2, that its white paper refers to its token both as a security, which is not true, and this person has put stock in parentheses here, and continuing, also not like a stock, okay? And number 3, SEC chairman has recently stated that most cryptos are securities. All right. So first, we don't comment on XRP or any other cryptos passing themselves off as a currency based on a bloated float or bloated circulating supply. VXV is a utility token and a trading vehicle. Question 5. Are you in contact with the Shiba Inu team about future projects? No. Question 6. I use CoinMetro for VXV. I noticed that the CEO has a great interview with Kasian on the YouTube channel. I assume CoinMetro did a great due diligence on Vectorspace before agreeing to list. Is it correct to assume that they list projects that they believe are going to succeed instead of listing what's trendy and meme coins? Their CEO appears to really like what Vectorspace is doing in the interview. Kevin Mirko has done extensive due diligence on Vectorspace. We know that. We can't comment on any of the other issues, but we can comment on public perception and good feedback, positive feedback that we've heard from others that have traded on that platform. So we absolutely stand by CoinMetro and Kevin Mirko's ability to conduct due diligence and also follow trends. It's important not to fight the tape. Question 7. Did VectorspaceAI sign a contract with S&P for $200 million a year for datasets? No, we did not sign a contract for $200 million a year. Not yet. Question 8. Will VXV be listed on some bigger exchanges in the near future? Yes, just like Facebook. When it traded on Barry Silbert's GBTC, second market, between $1 and $3 a share before VCs pawned it off to investment bankers at $44 a share before it IPO'd. Question 9. A blog written in September 2020 by Seeking Alpha describes Vectorspace as revenue positive. I was under the assumption that the current status is to pursue the quickest path to revenue in the startup phase, and I'm aware that some potential customers are in the pipeline. Which customer partnership is currently producing revenue positive positions, according to the article? Is revenue positive the current status of Vectorspace? We'll just start with that question. Yes, revenue positive, but not consequential revenue. Consequential revenue is what matters. Consequential revenue is when you're meeting, we define it as when you're meeting your burn rate or above. Once you're above, you're pretty close to profitability, if not already there. And in terms of commenting on which customers are producing which revenue, feel free to provide us those numbers for any private startup, and we'll provide you with ours. It's absolutely not an industry standard to be able to provide these numbers, but we will be once we achieve consequential revenue. Question 10. If I'm understanding this correctly, there are plans to sell divisions of VectorspaceAI, but not the company in its entirety. How does that work in terms of token buyouts from individual investors? And should individual investors expect a multiple of going VXV price at the same time in the buyout? All right, so those last two questions are moot because the first part of this question is a rumor. We are not selling a division of VectorspaceAI. We have no plans on selling a division. We wouldn't do that. We wouldn't place a division in the hands of any other group. They wouldn't know how to run it. We wouldn't know how to make money with it. And our reputation would go down the drain. We're here to manage both divisions, our financial markets division and our space biosciences division. Those divisions will become valuable independently of one another. So again, we're not selling a division, just as Alphabet did not sell a division, namely Google. Question 11. I have heard rumors, more rumors here, that there is a smart contract ready to be processed when there is 14 million VXV left in circulation and when the contract gets the 36 million VXV tokens that are in the team's wallet just get burned. Well, let me restart so we can get some clarity here. I have heard rumors that there is a smart contract ready to be processed when there is 14 million VXV left in circulation, and when the contract gets processed, the 36 million VXV tokens that are in the team's wallet gets burned. Is this true? I have heard you say in previous conference calls that you are not interested in burning money. Yeah, so let's pick this apart just a little bit here. I heard rumors. Well, that's your number one issue. We would like to know where you heard the rumors. And 14 million, that's a pretty specific number. So we're very curious as to where that number was taken from. And then when it comes to burning tokens, we don't burn tokens. Have you ever seen Amazon, Apple, Google, or Facebook burn stock? We don't burn tokens. You don't burn money. Burning tokens that is a false flag. That is a red flag. That is a way for a company that has issued too many tokens. Maybe they have a bloated float or a bloated circulating supply and they don't know what to do. And so they burn their tokens to reduce supply to make the price go up. That's not how prices go up. Prices go up when you introduce real product to the public that they use, real value, when you make your customers and partners money, or when you accelerate scientific discovery. And that includes real science and technology, not the burning of tokens. I'd stay away from any crypto that burns tokens. So rumors will continue to abound. Question 12. Vectorspace is currently based in Malta, correct? Is there a timeline or timetable for Vectorspace to come to the US? Absolutely. We're working with Neil Peretz, our corporate counsel, and we anticipate this happening inside of 2 weeks at this point. We have been asked by a few government agencies to make this happen very quickly. Question 13. A question about the last conference call. What is the difference between this new alternative data group and the initial one from S&P? People. That's one thing that we know. These are different people that have contacted us. We don't know if they're within the same group. Groups within S&P or any multi-billion-dollar publicly traded company can be made up of anywhere from a couple of people, 5 people, to hundreds of people. And sometimes the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing. So the short answer is we don't know, but we'll find out. Question 14. This is maybe a bit off topic, but I thought you mentioned extending human lifespan so we can one day live on other planets. What do you think? Is it possible that time goes slower, like in the movie Interstellar, where they go to another planet for 10 minutes, and when they come back, years have gone by? Is it possible? If yes, when could we use it for our advantage? So, that is a loaded question, and so we've got a loaded answer, series of answers here. We're finding more habitable planets every day. The next issue the human race faces relates to the time that it takes to travel through deep space to one of these planets, which are usually positioned a few light years away. The closest habitable planet is about 5 light years away. Extending human lifespan is a must for successful deep space travel. Space biosciences is also a must. Protecting and repairing human DNA, generating tissue, regeneration of tissue without causing cancer, of course. So eventually, it's true, we're going to have to get off this planet. The sun will supernova in about 4 billion years, and the Andromeda Galaxy is going to crash into ours without much effect. But whenever your sun supernovas, you can kiss your planet goodbye. So we may as well start planning now. Detecting hidden connections between genes, proteins, and compounds, etc., that extend human lifespan and health span, and that relate to DNA damage repair. DNA damage relating from HZE particles, galactic cosmic rays, and LET radiation, essentially space radiation. For the purpose of space biosciences and extended space travel, they relate to the future population of habitable planets. So we can continue to collaborate in this area to this day. Solving for the protection and repair of human DNA and tissue without causing cancer, by default, solves for extending human lifespan and health span. And we've mentioned this before, if you turn space biosciences upside down, you're actually solving for lifespan and health span. If you turn lifespan and health span upside down, you're solving for space biosciences, in part. And of course, this in turn solves for deep space travel, which is necessary for the colonization of habitable planets inside and outside our solar system. Advancements in space biosciences will lead to additional breakthroughs in all other industries, including biotechnology connected to increased lifespan and health span. And that includes CRISPR tech too. Next, we'll move on to our strategy section. And we've got 5 strategic points we'll discuss here. The first one, and these are all different points. The first one is that we are offering 100,000 VXV to anyone that can find a crypto like ours that advises the NIH, National Institutes of Health, and NASA Space Biosciences. Ping us on our channel for an expiration date on that. Number 2, the Space Industry Report. We are working on an internal report related to the space industry and related to the TAMs associated to the space industry, multiple TAMs. The space industry is largely going to be based on data, in fact, and data sets, of course. The total addressable market, or TAM, you'll find is worth trillions. There's a single asteroid out there worth 1 trillion. So when you look at the space industry, you can also look at a report produced by Morgan Stanley. And this report outlines the various markets and market opportunities within the space industry. And as we know, much of that will come from space biosciences and mining trillion-dollar asteroids, of course, too. Point 3, under strategy, we are engineering a team that will be enabled to pursue government contracts and grants related to space biosciences. And that includes all of biosciences that relate to protecting and repairing human DNA, the extracellular matrix, the microenvironment, and of course tissue regeneration, nanomaterials, nanomedicines, and so forth. Point 4, we're establishing a new headquarters with a wet lab, with a bioinformatics division, a scientific staff, of course a data engineering division, and visualization and XR, extended reality, along with CRISPR work. This will be in Berkeley, California, probably sandwiched in between Lawrence Berkeley National Lab and UC Berkeley. And point 5, space biosciences results in on-the-ground solutions. Many ask, why are you focused on space biosciences? Because it's going to be one of the largest industries that's ever existed in the history of humankind. When you look at the solutions that fall out of space biosciences, these are on-the-ground solutions in all of biosciences. And we certainly don't have to remind anyone that trillions have been poured into finding solutions in biosciences/life sciences recently. Revenue models connect to drug targets and new discoveries and therapies, which include extending lifespan and health span. Our short-term goal is to speed up or accelerate the process of scientific discovery by 10x, then by 100x. And this can only be done with networks of the most advanced and sophisticated data engineering pipelines, resulting in datasets used to make predictions. This concludes our call. Thanks for joining. If you have any questions or comments, you can find us online.